So I've seen a lot of people have been playing Rune Slayer, and I decided to finally give it myself a try about a few days ago. I heard about the game, and I knew I had some trouble coming out, but finally I got to take a look at it, and we're going to give it a review. And of course, the question on everybody's mind, is it better than Deepwoken? What better way to discuss it than the Deepwoken guy himself? So let's actually get into what the game actually basically is. So essentially, when you go into this game, the whole premise of the game is to progress your character to become as strong as possible, right? By leveling up, by doing quests, fighting different mobs, doing whatever you can to gain EXP, right? And that's also included by you getting loot as well, right? You want to get more loot for your characters, things like more weapons, obviously new chest plates, helmets, all sorts of stuff, whatever you can to improve your stats for your character. That makes it easier to fight the bosses and several enemies you're going to be facing when playing in this game, right? There's also a lot of different sorts of grind that you can do. Obviously, there's things like collecting resources, yada, yada, yada. Y'all get the deal, RPG mechanics, right? So let's actually go ahead and first break down what I think is good about the game. Now, I think early game progression has incredible pacing, even solo, right? Even solo. I think the pacing at the start is really, really quick, and it really helps you get into the game very, very quickly. Also, I think the tutorial does a great job at just kind of, hey, here are the mechanics, boss the fight, bam, you're thrown right in. Immediately, you can just start doing whatever you want in the game. I think it's very, very nice. I think that there is a lot of basically mechanics are already shown very quickly in the beginning, so you kind of get the idea of what to do immediately as soon as you get into the game, right? It's all very quick too, and you kind of just pick it up naturally because, of course, you know, many of us have played these sorts of RPG games before. And because of that, this game is also really just not afraid to not hold your hand in some places. Not in the same way Deepwoken does, though. I think Eclipse, he had a review on this video, he actually covered this great, where he said basically a lot of times it feels like Deepwoken can kind of hold back what it's trying to do, pull its punches on bosses like Atheron, for example, or Chaser, because the permadeath system is there. Where like here, the bosses, they will really mess you up, right? They will really mess you up. And I think that because that the boss fights are actually really challenging, I think that it makes it really, really fun. I do actually really enjoy some of the bosses in this game. For example, I think the Spider Queen boss is way better and way more fun to fight than Widow ever was in Deepwoken. Widow's a joke. The Spider boss, you have to respect. He actually has moves that it feels like a proper boss fight that takes time to do, as well as the fact that, well, we'll get more into this later, that it actually only appears once every hour, similar to something else we've seen in Deepwoken like World Events. But anyway, right? I just really like how they put a lot of emphasis on the bosses. That's really, really cool. And the enemies are no pushover either. Like, you still have to know what you're doing, right? And the final thing as well is that it's just great with a party. If you're playing with like a lot of people, a bunch of friends, right? Always, you know, any game is going to be fun with friends, but it just really fits you because there's different classes that can play different roles. For example, you have your priest, obviously. The squad needs like a healer, right? You have like the healer, the tank, then you have like the archer and the mages kind of doing extra things to maybe debuff or, you know, just do a bunch of damage from range. Just a whole different, lot of different classes, subclasses, and playstyles, and I really, really like that. There's also like, because there's the ability to multi-class as well, there's incentive to try out different things. One of my friends, for example, is trying out like a warrior with like priest buffs and fist, and he's trying to do like some crazy stuff that actually does end up working. So even though it says it's not recommended to do multi-classing, I really like that it's still an option there, and you can try and mix and match different stuff to think if you have some sort of advantage, maybe you can try something that somebody else hasn't done before, right? And so, yeah, I think there's just a lot of really, really good stuff in the world to do as well. Like, I really like that it feels like the world is also just properly fleshed out, and not really you go to one area and it feels unfinished. No, like, it feels like every area in this game has, like, there's the content and the quest line to do, and that's great. That's always great. That's how it always should be. Always should feel completed to do, right? Now let's actually get into some of the bad stuff, right? Some of the bad stuff that I think can really drag the game down depending on how far you get into the game. I think once you get to a point, solo prog can feel pretty damn annoying, pretty awful. The later down you get in, right? Now, obviously, I know people are going to be like, yo, Agamatsu, just play with random people in the server. Bro, random people can just straight up kill you, right? They don't owe you anything. On top of that, right, if you're playing with multiple people, right, if you ain't doing enough damage, right, you're not going to get the kill credit. So not everybody you play with is going to want to play with you, or you can't even play with them because there's like the level mismatch. Maybe you're too high of a level or too low of a level for them to match up with you, right? It can be kind of annoying for the solo player, I think, to find those situations where they're able to play and progress a lot later on, especially with the grind. By themselves, I feel like it's just a lot more annoying. Now, I feel like, again, a lot of games have this issue, but I think just a little bit of alleviation for the solo player wouldn't be the worst, because bro, try fighting some of these bosses alone. You will see it's basically impossible. And I don't mind the fact that it's kind of like that, but I think in some sort of regard, just having a little bit more leniency, not too much, but just a little bit more to the solo player would be nice, in my opinion, because it can get quite annoying. I also think that the grind later on bit annoying as well. Now, me personally, I really do like when things are pretty rare in a game. I like the trading. I've been trading today. I was trading a bunch. That's one thing I forgot to put in the good section. I like the trading, but the grind for certain things can be really annoying. For example, right, there's these things I'm trying to farm for, right, called like carapaces. I don't know how to say it, but basically like just like a loot drop from something called like this crab in this jungle area, right? For some reason, this crab it shares a spawn with a crocodile, so you have to clear out the crocodiles. There's no like dedicated crab spawns, so it's really annoying to try and get this one specific piece of armor, and the grind wasn't fun because a lot of times it feels like you're waiting for the thing to spawn in. I like fighting, I like grinding, I really love farming the spider boss and like what's it called, there's something called like the rune golem. I like fighting him because those are tough fights. And a lot of times you can just like server hop, for example, you want to find different stuff, right? But for certain other things, bro, I feel like if you just want to, for example, right, stay in the same server, it can feel a bit annoying. And for the like crab specifically, it's just really annoying to serve off for because again, something can take up their spawn, right? Also, like I think a certain part of it is trying to like find, this is much later on, like much later on, specific rune armor. There's just a lot of different pieces of RNG that you kind of encounter later down the line, and I understand that's probably how the game is going to be for a bit, but I think it can get a bit too crazy. Like I feel like the gap between somebody who really has the min-max down and the person who isn't really min-maxing is going to be very huge down the line, which will bring me into my next point of balancing, right? The grind, in my opinion, wouldn't be as much of an issue if the gap couldn't be that big, but I feel like the gap will be very big, and PvP already is very shaky. PvP is a little rocky. I can't lie, it's a little rocky. Like I think they're announcing that they're going to do like a PvP update. So again, we'll see how the PvP update is right now, but PvP, it does not feel that great to do PvP. I can't lie, it doesn't feel very good to PvP. It doesn't have that smoothness. It lacks the smoothness that Deepwoken does. I don't think people are hopping on this game to do PvP. It's mostly PvE, which is fine. But if they're going to be doing a PvP, I just hope that they can also get the balance down. Because, bro, if you get really lucky and you get, like, for example, 2 to 3 pieces of armor with max rune slots, maybe 5 to 6 rune slots, and you have all the best runes that you can get, bro, you will be so much more powerful than somebody who doesn't have it on the same level. I think there can just be a huge gap. And so that's why I'm putting in the bad section. I feel like it can be a little bit much. Like I said, I like the grind, I like the RNG, but a bit too much into specific things and a bit too much into, like, for example, the balancing, I think can create a bit of a problem. But that's just my opinion. Again, I haven't really noticed too much yet because the game did just release, so we'll see, right? We'll see. But that's just my thoughts on the bad parts of the game overall. But I think overall it's a very solid game, and I think it does have great potential. Is it better than Deepwoken? Hell nah, man. What the fuck do you think this is, bro? Look, this is my argument, okay? I think that Rune Slayer does have great potential, right? Rune Slayer does have great potential, but for me, the one thing you have right now kind of holding down the end game is that very long grind to get that super min-max, right? Which Deepwoken did have at 1.2. But here's what I'll say. Deepwoken had, bro, people came back for the PvP. Motherfuckers enjoy doing PvP, bro. A bunch of people been doing chime and shit, you know what I'm saying, ganking and stuff. In Rune Slayer, they don't have that developed yet, man. I don't see that. I just don't see it. It doesn't feel as smooth. The combat doesn't feel as good in PvP. It's a long shot away from Deep. Deep has its own balancing issues, but I think this game's gonna have real big balancing issues as well. So we'll wait to see. I'll wait to see how it is. But overall, I think it's a very solid game, very fun game. I had a lot of fun. Don't get it twisted. I have a lot of fun, and I implore you guys to play. You guys should play because it is a good game. Amongst everything on Roblox, it is a good game. Better than Deep though? Hey man, they're gonna have to put in the work. You know what I'm saying? Deep's still up here for me, but you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm gonna be biased towards Deepwoken. Go try it out, guys. Yeah, it was a great experience for me. That's gonna be all, guys, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, peace.